The weather at West Point is gorgeous, but we're going to start your weekend preview indoors at Tate Rink as the Army West Point hockey team returns home to start their home campaign for their 2016-2017 season. The Black Knights are coming off a season-opening 2-2 non-conference tie up at Colgate last weekend and going to look for their first win of the season against Sacred Heart, an in-conference opponent. And this year, Atlantic hockey, even though it's usually tight year in and year out, this year it just seems a little closer as it seems like anyone can win the conference.
This year, I mean, every year is close, but I just have a feeling that this year is going to be as close as it's ever been. Anyone, I think, has the opportunity to win this league. So getting off to a good start will go a long ways to setting you up for a good spot at the end of the year. So, this is an important game, and this series with Sacred Heart over the next 2 weeks, really important.
We'll keep things indoors but head down to Annapolis, Maryland, where the volleyball team's in action against Navy in the Star Series presented by USAA. The Black Knights are coming off a 1-1 weekend last weekend, lost to American, win against Loyola, as Army, a very young team, is going to have to compose themselves if they're going to want to get the victory in the Star against the Midshipmen. 2
years ago, we were pretty young, and I thought that a little bit of the mental toughness got us a little bit. But we have grown so much, and the good thing this year is we have a lot of freshmen on the court, but they have been playing since the beginning of the season, and they are excited to play Navy.
Bringing it back to West Point, the Army Sprint football team's in action against Cornell, coming off that big 58-0 shutout of Mansfield last weekend. Army was able to get things going, was able to show up their depth against Mansfield as they were able to get a lot of players in, which is going to help the team in the long run.
It was nice to see us put some points on the board after our tough loss against Penn, which means that our guys are staying focused on what we got to do. I think going into this week, we want to continue the momentum. We want to get off to a little faster start than we did last week, and hopefully, offensively put some more points on the board.
And rounding out the weekend at West Point, it's a rugby doubleheader down at the Anderson Rugby Complex on Saturday starting at noon. Both the men's and the women's team will take on Penn State. Now, Bill Leclerc knows for the women's team that this is going to be one of the best teams they face all year. It's a non-conference opponent for the women, but it's still a big game as they push towards their playoffs coming in late November. And as for the men, it's two nationally ranked teams going at it as Penn State comes to Army for the first time in a long time in a highly anticipated matchup.
There's no such thing as a bad Penn State team. Some are just better than others, and they've gone through some transitions. They've lost a few really key players that have been there for a while, but they're still going to be Penn State, and they play with that confidence. They play with a style and a system that has worked for them, for a long, long time.
We just need to keep getting better, and we've been doing a good job of that so far. We continue to play well and improve, and we need to do that this week. And we need to stay composed. Definitely there'll be more pressure and adversity than we've seen this year, and composure and cohesion will be paramount.
There are two teams in action on the road for Army, both the soccer teams. The women's team will be down in the nation's capital as they take on American, and the men's soccer team travels to Lehigh as they'll take on the defending Patriot League champions, the Mountain Hawks. That's going to do it for your weekend preview. For Night Vision, I'm Zack Daly.